This is a WKYT podcast.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Are you asking me or everyone?
I don't know. Here with
Hello,
a very
everyone.
animated Andrea today.
Well, that's my aesthetic.
As we prepare for Christmas, we're a couple days into Hanukkah, all kinds of stuff going on here. How's it going, Andrea?
It's good. I mean, I still don't have kids of my own, so I feel like I'm in that weird phase of Christmas when you're an adult with no real attachments, you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to maybe someday being able to celebrate the way you're going to get to celebrate this year.
It's going to be very exciting. We've already got, we'll take down the cage that's around the tree currently.
There's a cage around the tree?
Yeah, you haven't seen the picture. We put up a fence around it basically because we realized there was going to be a problem.
Somebody tries to open gifts?
Yeah. Oh, your mic's falling.
Oh, no. Okay.
If you hear that weird sound, that's
Crisis
what that was.
averted.
You're good.
Maybe
Yeah,
not.
Maybe not.
Okay. I'm scooting back. Okay.
You'll be fine. Your voice carries. So we've got lots of stuff going on there. It's very, very exciting.
Do you remember, what's your favorite, Santa gift? Or actually, here's a new discussion. How do you do Santa? People do it differently.
So far, I mean, I guess we'll just sneak in the night. This is going to be our first. Last year, she was so young, she didn't really know what was going on.
Right.
This year, I guess we'll just sneak in the night before.
But, I mean,
Put the stuff down there.
So some people, all the gifts are from Santa. Some people, the one big gift is from Santa. Or just,
we'll tell it. Because
stocking.
I've seen a few posts, and here's the thing. When you grow up poor, you find out the truth about Santa very early.
Yes.
Because you realize, Santa doesn't really bring me everything I want.
Well, also, it's depending on how people do Santa, Santa brings some kids an Xbox and then other kids, a pack of gum.
Exactly. And and I saw a post about that. And it made me think, because somebody's going to school and being like, oh, yeah, Santa brought me a PlayStation 4. And it's like, oh, Santa brought me some shoes.
Yeah, because Mr. X was telling me that, they did their one big gift, the one thing they wanted most at Christmas came from Santa, and then the rest of the stuff was from his parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not how we did it at all.
Yeah, and so I think that's what we're going to do. We'll do, some of it will be from us.
I want the credit.
She's young enough right now, it doesn't really matter. She's just going to open. She's not going to know.
That's true.
We were opening stuff with the family, and she'd open stuff and be like, okay, that's from your Aunt Amber, say thank you. And she'd go, thank you. And that's kind of it. And so she doesn't enunciate everything clearly, but we can understand what she's saying.
That's so sweet.
So, although she now started saying thank you to everything. Pretty much you do something, she's thank you.
There are worse things.
So there you go. So she's a very polite child, yeah. So I guess that's what we'll do. I think, the next year and the year after that will be when we really start having to figure out the traditions. Right now, there's some stuff, rip it open.
Do you remember the magic rags? They came in the shape of a star,
and
then they
expand.
We got one every year, and I think we're gonna get one this year again from Santa.
I still remember my favorite Christmas gift. I think it was I got a Voltron. Figure.
Voltron.
Yeah,
nice.
Like the cats that you can turn into the
I
robot.
remember.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
so that was one of my
Mr.
favorites.
X was telling me about how they woke up super early every year to see if Santa had been there or not. And he and his sister went downstairs and they didn't see anything. And he said he for some reason looked in the shower and there was food in there. He's like, "We're getting a dog. We're getting a dog." And they got a puppy for Christmas.
Aww.
I'm like, that's the most iconic thing you can get.
Which is also doing it the right way. If you're getting somebody a gift, you want parents who are also going to be there to take care of it just in case the kids aren't. As
yes.
I did an interview recently. We interviewed a lady at Most Valuable Pets, and that's one thing I asked her about. And she said, if you're getting a dog, a puppy, a gift from someone, either talk to them ahead of time so that they know about it and they're ready for this. You don't want to surprise, someone.
I can totally see someone's grandma.
Exactly. And this is not something you want to.
Thanks, Janet.
Yeah, if you're going to be living in a house with them, exactly, and you're ready for that responsibility. But don't just get somebody a pet. So
that's good advice.
Unless you're going to be there to help take care of it in case things don't go right. Okay, so today's also on the back end, we're going to talk about the winner of the 2019 Christmas dinner side draft, holiday meal draft. I don't know. We still got to come up with some better branding. But we got the winner. Andrea and I wussed out and sent it out to the general public so that they could vote on it.
I say it was a tie.
I felt like it was very close.
Yeah.
So we'll have that on the back half. For the conversation today, Andrea, you weren't here, but you're going to get to listen to it.
Yes.
My friend Benito Cereno came back, joined me and Miranda Combs, who set in as we talked about Christmas traditions from around the world. And that's what you're going to hear on this, is just kind of a deep dive into various versions of Santa Clauses, accompanying side characters and traditions from all over the place. It was really interesting because if you're like me, you grow up, in Eastern Kentucky, you've kind of got your set of traditions. All you know is Santa Claus. You don't really think of, and obviously, you think about baby Jesus. You think about the wise men. You've got all of these things going on, and so it was kind of interesting to hear other places and how they celebrate it and how their traditions came about.
I'm looking forward to this. I had to hanker the day this was recorded. So thank you to Miranda for filling in.
Always willing to step in.
She's always a fun feature of the podcast. Always has interesting takes on everything. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I was like, well, if anybody's going to do it with me, it'll be fun to have Miranda there. So there you go. This is our conversation with Benito Cereno, and we will see you on the back half. All right, so we're getting started, everybody. We're here with Benito Cereno and special guest co-host today, Miranda Combs. Miranda, you excited to be here?
Absolutely, always. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're always excited to be drafted in, even though happening at the last moment. And he just handed us a gift. We have some Schweizer craft Santas, and these are Santas from all over the world, and done with Benito and another Kentuckian, Chris Schweizer. He's a good follow on Twitter and. Oh, sorry, we're going to plug you in. You may only be able to hear yourself. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, currently I don't hear anything. Hey,
How
there's
about
me.
now?
Okay. Yep.
There we
This
go.
is cool. So it's all the different Santas.
Yeah. That collection is 10 different takes on Santa, including a traditional, Catholic Saint Nicholas, and then Father Christmas, as he used to be in England before he just became straight up Santa Claus, but also the development of Santa Claus across American history before he kind of became codified as the red and white suited guy there, but also Père Noël, which is the French take on Father Christmas, and Papa Noel, which is the uniquely Cajun style Santa whose flat bottom boat is pulled by an alligator. Yeah.
See, I told you you'd learn some stuff today, Miranda. So Benito was here before for our Kentucky legends and folklore stuff, but his true love is Christmas.
It's true.
Christmas all year round. Is that kind of the?
That's right. I've got my Santa Claus phone case, which at this time of the year everyone goes like, "Oh, how festive!" But I'm like, no, this was my phone case in July. Also, like in October, this is the all the time phone case.
Is that your shirt year round too, or is that just for the holidays?
I do have. This
He's wearing
one,
a Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal from Home Alone.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
right. I have a pretty sizable Christmas shirt collection. I went through most of it on I just got back from Germany. My wife and I went to Germany to travel the various Christmas markets of Germany, and so I packed exclusively Christmas shirts. So I went through a pretty sizable portion of my collection there, but I did not exhaust it. So I don't generally wear the Christmas shirts during the whole year because that one. People get upset about the like no everything in its right time,
like music.
Yeah,
in November.
yeah. And so I might wear one or two Christmas shirts in July, and I also allow myself to listen to Christmas music in the month of July, and because Christmas in July. Yeah, but otherwise I keep them. I have a special drawer for my holiday shirts because I do also have Halloween and St. Patrick and other holiday shirts. But
what is it about Christmas?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Christmas. From a young age, it always felt very special. The food, the decorations. I liked the TV specials. I was always very into. I still am very into the Rankin Bass stop motion. The Rudolph and Frosty and Santa Claus is Coming to Town and all those. So, as a kid, I was really into those. And then as I got older, I started finding out about world Christmas folklore. And I kind of became obsessed with that, which I think is what I'm primarily here to talk about. And that has been one of my chief obsessions, you might say, for the last 15 years or so. Christmas is really weird. And I think people don't always know that, especially in America, where it's become it's fully commercialized in a lot of ways,
yeah.
and it's all about like joy and light and happiness, and that's not always the case, right? The point of Christmas is that it's the darkest time of the year. It's the longest nights, the darkest nights, the coldest nights, and so Christmas is about fighting off that darkness in a lot of way. And now with we have electric lights and heat, and there's not a lot of there's not much risk for most people, certainly in America, that that Christmas is going to be as dangerous a time. But in the Middle Ages and even up until the 19th century, that wasn't always the case. Christmas was a very dark time, and so you had to have the holiday to kind of stave off the cold and the dark. And as a result, it was a time of scary things, right? Christmas was a time of ghosts and witches, werewolves especially.
That's one of the things in the song, Tales of Ghost Stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about that in that song. That always struck me as kind of odd, but I guess the history of Christmas,
sure.
that's not that weird.
In the Victorian era, especially, telling ghost stories at Christmas was the thing that you did, right? Even in the UK today, if you were to go over there, they have usually Christmas specials at Christmas that are ghost stories, usually often adaptations of the author M.R. James, who's a well-known Victorian ghost story author. Of course, the Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, is a ghost story. The Turn of the Screw, which by Henry James, which is getting 2 major adaptations next year. The movie The Turning, that's got Finn Wolfhard. I don't know if you've seen that trailer, Victor. But also season 2 of The Haunting of Hill House is going to be an adaptation of The Turn of the Screw. And that's another ghost story at Christmas kind of tale. Witches and werewolves, vampires during that time as well. November 29th was St. Andrew's Eve, and that was a time when vampires would be out and they would meet at the crossroads, and vampires from neighboring villages would have a Beat It style street fight.
I'm looking at all these Santa Clauses from around the world. What is your favorite interpretation? Because I know we all know, Jolly Santa Claus now, but I'm looking at some of these, and there's, Papa Noel with his alligator, and I see some horns. I mean, just all kinds of stuff going on here.
I'm a big fan of the kind of the traditional Saint Nicholas there on the top, because he's got a lot of the most interesting stories around him, and he's right in that sweet spot for me between historical person, folkloric person, and then a thing that has become a larger cultural icon. Because there's no shortage of Saint Nicholas stories from various regions where he's doing different miracles, whether it's he's astral projecting to save a shipwreck, or he's taming demons, or he's using the Holy Ghost powers to flip over pagan temples and wreck them, or he's punching heretics at the Council of Nicaea. That's on the more historical angle of things. That's one that a lot of people are learning about now, is that Council of Nicaea was the 4th century ecumenical council of all the bishops from around Europe, and the Emperor Constantine was there, and they were there to address the Arian heresy, which is Arian, not related with Aryan, about a guy who basically said that Jesus the Son was the creation of God the Father, and they were not two aspects of the same being. And that sounds like a minor detail to us today, but that was huge. And so the guy who the heresy is named after, Arius, was there, and St. Nicholas got so mad at it's literally in Greek, it's a one-letter distinction, whether they're homoousios, that is of the same substance.
Told you to learn something.
Yeah, or they're homoiousios, which is of similar substance. It's one letter different in Greek, and over that argument, Saint Nicholas stood up, strode across the floor, punched Arius out in front of the emperor, which is a crime, and so he went to jail. And
because to him that affected the divinity of Jesus as opposed to being actually part. Wow.
And according to the story, he was stripped of his bishop's robes and his Bible, but while he was in prison overnight, Mary and the baby Jesus showed up and returned those things to him.
There you go.
And so anyway, so there's no shortage of St. Nicholas stuff. He's and I should say, to Americans, St. Nicholas, Father Christmas, Santa Claus, they're all the same. In Europe, that's not really the case. St. Nicholas, he has his own feast day, which is December 6th. And so in a lot of countries, they might have St. Nicholas come on the night of December 5th, to put presents in their shoe or whatever.
And that's another thing. I see
Yeah.
Kris Kringle is listed here separately, and to Americans, Kris Kringle and Santa Claus is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, sure. That one we made as a separate figure just because it was kind of a different stage in the development of the figure of Santa Claus. Kris Kringle was, as a name, was used a lot more commonly in the 19th century, which is interesting. It's funny to me because the name Kris Kringle develops from the German name Christkindl, which means the Christ child. And the Christkindl, it was and is a separate Christmas time gift giver that is still celebrated in Germany, parts of Germany, Austria, Hungary, Czech Republic, different places. Germany kind of has a north-south divide, and similar to the U.S., but their big distinction is the northern Germany is Protestant, southern Germany is Catholic. And so in the Protestant parts of Germany, the major gift bringer is what they call der Weihnachtsmann, which just means the Christmas man. I think he's in there, and he's basically just Santa Claus. If you go and you look at decorations in northern Germany, the Weihnachtsmann he's just Santa Claus.
He's just Santa Claus.
Whereas in the South, in the more Catholic parts of the country, and as you get into the Alpine regions and Austria and such, you're more likely to have Saint Nicholas on the 6th, and so the gift bringer on Christmas is less Saint Nicholas-y. And so the Christkindl, the Christ child, was originally supposed to actually be baby Jesus. Like baby Jesus shows up on Christmas and gives you presents for his birthday. But the common depiction for hundreds of years now at this point, the Christkind is usually it looks like a young blonde girl, angel, right? And to the point where
happy with that, wouldn't you?
Oh, Miranda, come on now.
So, like the most famous, probably the most famous Christmas market in the world is the Nuremberg Christkindlesmarkt, the Christkindl market there, where every 2 years they elect a new young woman to play Christkindl. I think she has to be between the ages of like 16 and 18. She has to be in high school. She has to have certain grades because they have to be an A-level student because the duties of the Christkindl are so much. They have to be out of school for like 4 weeks. And so it has to be somebody they feel confident can catch up with missing 4 weeks of school. And so, I mean, this year there was a whole controversy because the girl that was named Christkindl this year was half Indian. And so there was a whole thing about like, a dark-skinned Christkindl, blah, blah, blah. I was hoping, so,
wow.
I was at.
Yeah, as we say, you were there.
I was just there. I was hoping that I'd get to see her because she comes out to the market. Like she comes out on the stage and, she speaks and whatever. And they were like, she'll be out at 4:00. And I was like, oh, wow, where is she? And I couldn't find her. I really wanted a picture of myself with a Christkindl. I went into the tourist information office and they were like, yes, she appears every day from Tuesday to Friday. And I was like, it's Monday. It's Monday. Oh man. So no, I missed the Christkindl, but like, it's a big deal. I mean, she was on the front page of the newspaper while we were over there. I grabbed a picture of the newspaper, but,
wow.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say, so just various forms of kind of Santa Claus all over the world.
What's the commonality though? I mean, it seems like there's a pretty obvious one between all of them.
Yeah. Well, the common thread, to just be like to get absolutely simple about it, is he's the old man, right? You have the old man with the white beard, and
now is it always?
It's always giving, right?
Yeah.
And are the presents always reliant on you having been good, or is it
usually? Again, a lot of these go back hundreds of years, and so the presents often used to be things. They were fruit and nuts, and maybe a small toy, candy, cookies.
In relation to the idea that the wise men gave gifts to Jesus, so that's kind of
yes. Well, yes. There's there's a spectrum of approaches and interpretations for why do we give presents at Christmas, right? So like there's the people who say we give presents at Christmas because the wise men brought Jesus presents at Christmas, right? Then you have people on the other end of the spectrum who would say we give presents at Christmas because they gave presents at the Roman holiday of Saturnalia in December, and Christians just copied that. I don't believe either of those is true. I believe the actual reason we give presents at Christmas is because you give presents at St. Nicholas Day, and Martin Luther during the Protestant Reformation wanted to draw attention away from saints, which he does not care for, towards the Christ child, which is why Martin Luther is responsible for developing the figure of the Christkindl as the actual Christ child bringing presents. And so it's kind of ironic that the Christkindl is more popular in the Catholic parts of the country now and Catholic parts of Europe, and B, the name Christkindl have developed into Kris Kringle, another nickname for Santa Claus. That has to do with,
so that's interesting to me, because you see people who will say, well, there's a war on Christmas, and they try to focus. They say, well, Jesus is the reason for the season. Mm-hmm. This has been happening for hundreds of years. This sounds like this fight has something that's been going on.
Oh, yeah.
As long as the church has been around.
Yeah, the Protestant Reformation had a big impact on Christmas. Christmas. In fact, the Puritans hated Christmas, right? And they even outlawed Christmas in England during the time after the English Civil War, and when Cromwell was in charge, the Puritans, they actually outlawed Christmas. It was outlawed in the United States in the early days. The English inhabitants of the U.S. did not care for Christmas. It was the German immigrants who brought a lot of that with them, and the Dutch, of course. The Dutch are the number one fans of St. Nicholas, Santa Claus. They always have the biggest celebration there.
It's since then has just spread and is now
because through the kind of U.S. melting pot and a couple of intentional manipulations by guys like Washington Irving, and then later you have, of course, the famous "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" by C. Clement Moore. Those really develop the character, and you get a mishmash of German figures like there's a German figure called the Belsnickel, which some people know because of the Office. Because of the Office. That's a real thing.
So that was a real thing. That wasn't made up for the show.
No, that's not made up for the show. So pelts either comes from the word pelts, that meaning fur, like pelt, or else pelts in a word that means to
hit somebody.
To hit somebody.
So he says, are you impish or...
And then...
what is it? Impish or did they make that up for the show?
But then and then Nickel is Nicholas. So he's either furry Nicholas or he's beat you up Nicholas, right? But either
depending
way,
on if you're good or
and there seems to be, and he comes with German immigrants, and that's why it's in the Office, because Pennsylvania Dutch. And he's the guy with the beard and the furry suit, right? Like, obviously, if you look at the Bishop Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, he's in bishop's robes, a mitre. He carries a staff. He's not the jolly old elf dressed all in furs from his head to his foot, like in the poem, right? So that seems to bear an influence from German Belsnickel, and then of course again, German immigrants would have brought in the name Christkindl, which becomes Chris. It goes through an evolution. Yeah. It's like Kris Kinkle at one point, and eventually becomes Kris Kringle.
All right.
So there's a lot of variations on Saint Nicholas, Father Christmas, Santa Claus, which are Father Christmas and Saint Nicholas are initially very distinct figures. Father Christmas was not a gift bringer originally. He was a metaphor for the bounty and celebration of Christmas, right? He was not a kid's figure. He was there for adults to drink and be merry, right? And so it's not until later that he kind of becomes a more children's figure, and eventually now he's basically just Santa Claus, right?
Yeah.
But besides most countries have, for Christmas they have.
So that's the thing. We've talked about Santa. We've gotten kind of a deep dive in that.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about another figure who in recent years has become more popular. Mm-hmm. They've had a few movies about him now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Miranda, have you heard of Krampus?
I'm out on it. I'm
What do you
just
think
gonna
you're
sit
on
back
a Krampus?
and check my Twitter.
Well, you're going to learn about Krampus
Okay,
right
okay,
now.
okay.
He's in some countries essentially like is he almost the anti-Santa or the evil version of Santa? How does that work?
Well, yeah, that's another one where like the U.S. has taken the story and kind of made it their own kind of thing. Where in America how do I put it? Like the storyline that makes sense is that he's the evil anti-Santa, right? He comes at Christmas to punish the bad and whatever, right? That's kind of the storyline in the movie from a couple of years ago. That's not really how he is, right? Like I think if you ask somebody in the U.S. who has heard of Krampus or Krampus, what he is, they would say, well, he's the evil anti-Santa. He's from Germany. He comes at Christmas. He beats up bad people, or he takes them in a basket to hell, or whatever. Those things are not exactly true. Okay. Right? So
did he originate in Germany? Is that
ish. So the Krampus, and first of all, there's not just one, right?
Okay.
There's dozens and dozens and dozens.
Lots of different societies all have their own version.
And yes, that's true. He's largely from Alpine regions, so more Austria, southern Germany, like Bavaria, yes. But if you get, Berlin, they have no. They know now because it's because he's on American Dad or on whatever. But like, before the big pop culture explosion of Krampus, like in Berlin, they don't know, right? Like that's not how they do Christmas, right? That's dark, weird Catholic Germany stuff, right?
So even if people think like, oh, that's a German thing, like
it's not.
All of
it's
Germany,
not really. It's so like Bavaria, yes. Austria, yes. Czech Republic, Slovakia, yes. Hungary, yes. Those areas do have the Krampus or a Krampus-like figure with a similar name. And
so give us an overview of what Krampus. Now that I know I've been saying it wrong.
Well, everyone says Krampus, but so he is a kind of. He looks like a demon or a devil. He's a goat man. Usually, he's got horns. Usually goat hooves.
Miranda's checking out the book you brought.
Yeah. If you want, absolutely, you can flip through that if you like.
Okay,
he's a companion of Saint Nicholas. So first of all, he doesn't come on Christmas, right?
Okay.
He comes on Saint Nicholas Eve, December 5th, the night of December 5th, which is also known as Krampusnacht or Krampus Night. And in these Alpine regions, it's still a custom. It was made illegal by the Nazis and the fascists, and so it was only in the late 20th century that it had a resurgence in popularity, where young men, usually teens, they organize into groups that are called passes, like PASS, pass, and it's basically your Krampus club, and you have somebody there who can carve traditional, or there's non-traditional now, masks, and you wear big furry suits with bells, chains, and then on December 5th you go through the street. There's a parade, or in some regions that's the Chris Kindle there. Yep.
Oh, nice.
And in some regions they'll even show up at your house, right? And they do a whole routine where it's like, are there children in the house? Are they good? Can they recite their prayers? And usually a pass of Krampus are going to have a St. Nicholas with them, right? So there'll be one St. Nicholas and then 12 guys in Krampus costumes, right?
Krampi.
In German, the plural is Krampusse, but
okay.
Yeah. They do parades, and those have spread. They're even in the U.S. They have them throughout. I see different cities that have Krampus runs, as they call them, and some, of course, in the U.S., they're often focused around Christmas instead of St. Nicholas Day because
everything just shifts to that.
Yeah, because in the U.S. we don't understand St. Nicholas Day by and large, right?
Apparently not.
But yeah, he's not. So he's a companion of St. Nicholas, right? His job is, yes, he's the stick to St. Nicholas's carrot, right? Where he's supposed to frighten naughty children into behaving.
So it's almost like Santa's friend, where he's like, if you're not good, I'll have my buddy Krampus come take care of you.
Right. So the way I try to explain it is that whereas people movies try to present Krampus as the villain of Christmas, I always say no. He's the Batman of Christmas, right? Because his job is to use fear to frighten the superstitious into straightening up, right? And so this is still a tradition, but like it is region and time specific. So like I was just in Germany. I did not see a Krampus. I saw one stall in one market that I went to that had masks that a guy had made. But Bavaria, I was in Munich, which is, the capital of Bavaria. And that's where I would have expected to see some, but apparently we missed them by a few days, because they were there at St. Nicholas Day and we were there, like the 18th or something, so we'd missed it by a couple of weeks. So other than a couple of masks that I saw in person, I didn't see Krampus stuff.
So what has caused it to kind of resurge in America? Because I didn't know anything about Krampus before, I don't know, 10 years ago, and then I feel like it slowly started to pop back up. Miranda's literally learning about it today.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where like.
I'm glad December 5th is over.
It's one of those things where just like I think in the U.S. some people are kind of tired of the commercialized aspects of Christmas and they're looking for something that's a little more subversive. And what's more subversive than a Christmas demon that comes and puts children in a basket or whatever? And so around that time, like around 10 years ago, you have books like this. I have this is Krampus, the Devil of Christmas by Monty Beauchamp. Or it might be pronounced Beecham, I don't know. But it's a collection of Krampus postcards, which were hugely popular in the late 19th century and early 20th century up until about World War I, right? And they were, because, postcards were invented basically in the 19th century, and they suddenly became a really popular way to communicate with each other. And so people would send them for all sorts of reasons, and you end up with all sorts of really weird postcards. My friend Craig, who runs the website Weird Christmas, his bread and butter is posting weird Victorian Christmas postcards, including a bunch of Krampus cards.
And so these were things that people would send to each other around the holidays, just like here's a demon eating a child.
Yep. And so the common greeting on the front is Gruß vom Krampus, which just means greetings from the Krampus. You can see it on probably 80% of the postcards. And some of them will have little poems and things. Some of them are a little cheekier than others. They show kind of Krampus flirting with the ladies or whatever. Sometimes it's just a more straightforward,
is it like a Grinch-like character?
Yeah,
really
like
sweet, but he.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's
you can party with the Krampus.
Yeah, like. Sure, he loves schnapps.
That makes sense.
That's if you see the Krampus, toast him with some schnapps. That's what he likes.
There you go, Miranda. You should have some of those around the house.
I need some apparently.
But yeah, so these postcards were starting to be published, 10, 15 years ago, and that coincided with appearances on the Venture Brothers and Colbert Report and other shows, and I think there was just kind of a critical mass of a select kind of culture touching on it at a time where people were wanting something weirder and darker from Christmas. And I think, for Krampus, it just blew up. But like Krampus is not even the only like companion of St. Nicholas. Cause again, it's restricted to a pretty specific geographical region. Whereas in other parts, he has St. Nicholas has other darker companions, Knecht Ruprecht, he's a popular one in Germany. He's that just means farmhand Rupert, basically. He's
this is my friend Rupert.
So he just looks like he's not a demon guy. He's just a dude, but he wears like dirty monk's robes and that kind of thing is not uncommon. In Switzerland, Schmutzli is his name, which is like dirty, like schmutz, right?
Okay.
And so he's another guy where he's just a dude in dirty robes.
I thought the Tooth Fairy and
I was gonna say Jack I remember Frost. The movie where it was like Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, Jack Frost. They were all, but I'm guessing that's not the similar. They don't hang out in the same crowds.
Yeah, but not quite there. They didn't. Rise of the Guardians, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's
so. Yeah, that movie doesn't really touch much on international stuff except for the thing where they have the in France there's the mouse that's the Tooth Fairy, which is a real thing. But otherwise, like, otherwise they kind of stuck to the American version of things in that movie. I still like that movie pretty much. But
I was thinking about Santa Claus 3, which I watched three times yesterday. So,
yeah.
But yeah, they all. So for someone like you, when you see the commercialized version now, is it annoying, or are you just kind of happy it's still around and growing?
Well, I don't want to say annoying, but I mean, I do wish that a more accurate version was being presented, you know, in American pop culture. Like, people ask me how, you know, the movie Krampus, they're like, what did you think of it? I was like, I think it's a great movie, really funny and really fun. I think it's a terrible representation of what Krampus actually is.
It's like me with the first Punisher movie with Thomas Jane.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that as a movie, but that's not the Punisher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a lot like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, Miranda.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
But that makes sense.
Yours got to get a little older, and then you'll be in my.
So, like, people are being exposed to it, but obviously, the hope is that maybe if they're interested in it, they'll look it up and they'll see, you know.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully they'll specifically look up things that I wrote. And then,
that helps too.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Can we go something like super weird? Like, I feel like we've hovered around Saint Nicholas and Santa Claus.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Super weirdness.
I don't know how much time you're
You
looking
know,
to.
we got a few more minutes. Yeah, let's go
right.
super weird.
So
Miranda may have to leave, but that's
okay. Well, so completely going away from anything remotely Santa Claus style. Another gift giver in Catalonia in Spain. They have kids there get their presents from a figure known as the Tio de Nadal, which means the Christmas log. It's also known as the Cagatillo, which means the poop log. And how it works is it's a little log. It's like this, you know, about a foot long probably. It has a face painted on one end.
Nice.
And it wears a little hat, kind of a traditional Catalan peasant's hat. And over the back of it, you drape a big blanket. And starting on December 8th, the children start to feed the log, right? And then on Christmas Day,
With what?
well, I don't know,
Nuts,
whatever
whatever,
food,
yeah.
Like shove it into the log?
I mean,
or
not
just
really.
Like,
You know, the same way you feed a baby doll, right?
Yeah.
Fake baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so and then on Christmas, the kids take sticks and they start singing a song, which the reason it's called the poop log is because that's the words of the song. It's like poop log, poop nougats, poop fruit. Don't poop herrings; they're too salty. This is the song, and as they sing the song to the rhythm of the song, they hit the log with the sticks, and then when they're done with the song, they pull back the blanket that was covering the log's butt, right, and then the log has pooped out candies and nuts
and presents.
And so again, traditionally it would be like little nougat cakes and that kind of stuff, but now like. And this, I mean, again, this is completely real. You can go to YouTube and you can find kids. I watched
pooped out an iPad.
Yes, exactly. I saw a video of a kid where the log pooped out like an Xbox, and I was like, wow, amazing. What did they feed this log?
That was kind of cool.
Yeah. So like, you've got that.
It's almost like an interactive Christmas tree instead of just waiting. Like you're doing something to help it.
Yeah, that's right.
Along.
That's right. Also, Spain has a large number of like autonomous and semi-autonomous communities where like they have their own language or dialect or whatever, and they have their own thing. Because like in Spain, the main gift-giving holiday is not Christmas; it's Epiphany, Three Kings Day, and so for them, the Three Kings come, and that's a whole thing. But in like areas like Cantabria and Asturias and the Basque Country, they have other gift-giving figures that include one of my favorites, the Apalpador, who's from Galicia, and his name means like the patter, the guy who feels by touching, right? And and his thing is at during the night on Christmas Eve while the kids are sleeping, he walks up to them and he pats their bellies to listen to see if they're full or empty. And then
my kids would never sleep.
And then if their bellies are empty, then he leaves them a big pile of chestnuts.
So you have to go to bed hungry, really.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Or if you're full, then he'll say something like, may it be so for the rest of the year, and then he'll also leave you chestnuts. Okay. But and toys as well. But the chestnut, I like the idea of the big pile of chestnuts. In the Basque Country, Olentzero is the last of a race of giants, and he's the gift bringer. He carves everything out. He works as a coal burner during the year, and then he carves toys. In Asturias, it's Angulero, which means the eel fisherman, and their gift bringer is a guy who spends the year fishing eels, and then he sells all the eels and uses the money to buy presents for kids. And so there they make their Christmas trees out of like nautical accessories like nets and anchors and things.
All right.
Yeah, it just gets weirder from there.
No, I love it. I think it just kind of lets people know that while you may have grown up with Santa Claus, all around the world, there's all kinds of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happens on your Christmas morning?
On
you know all this.
My Christmas morning, usually on Christmas morning, I'm at my parents' house where even Santa Claus is too far afield. We definitely have Jesus Christmas at my parents' house. But in my own personal house, I currently have I have some Funko Pops. I have 2 Krampus Funko Pops. I have Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus. I have an Icelandic figurine of the Yule cat, which is an Icelandic. It's a giant cat that will eat you if you don't get new clothes for Christmas. That's that's real. And then next to that, I have I just bought in Germany a Yule goat, which is a straw figurine meant to represent like a Christmas.
Oh, before we leave, tell Miranda about the goat, the straw goat. You told me about. It's one of my favorite stories.
The Yevla goat. Okay, I did want to. Good. I did want to talk about the Yevla goat. So, in the Swedish town of Gävle, which is spelled Gavle, the traditional Swedish Christmas decoration, like the number one thing, is this Yule goat. It's a little goat made out of straw with like big curly horns, and it's got like red ribbons around it. In this city of Gävle, they built, for the past 50 plus years, they built an enormous one. I don't know, 40, 50 feet high, right? Out of just like bales of hay and straw.
Pictures are very impressive. And so when he told me about this, the first thing I said was like, oh, well, why wouldn't somebody set that on fire?
Yeah. And that is what has happened. About 80% of the time, someone breaks in and sets fire to the Gävle goat.
She went there.
So there's actually, if you go to Wikipedia, you can find, they have a chart of what happens.
Which years it's been burned.
Which years it's been burned, which years people have run into it with cars. Here's a picture of it if you want to see.
Yeah, there it is.
So
it's huge.
Yeah, it's enormous. And
you could just light that thing up one little match.
It has fortunately survived the last 3 years. Hopefully,
pretty good record.
Yeah, it's one of the longest streaks I think in history. I mean, you can see there's a lot of fences and gates,
barricades and stuff to keep people out. Yeah.
Man, you can get them online for like your own, I guess. Is that what you have?
I have. I bought one in Germany from a stall. It was not that much. It was like €4 basically.
There you go.
But yeah, you should be able to buy them.
Yeah, a set of 3 for like $25.
Yeah, there you go.
Get you a Yevla goat to put on your tree.
Yeah, I think it's a cool decoration. I like them.
So you have a poop log at home?
I do have a poop log.
Here we go. Yeah, I found it.
Awesome.
The timeline from 1966 to 69 survived. December 31st, 69 fire. There's a whole lot of fire here.
Yeah.
Wait, in 1970, the date of destruction, 6 hours after construction.
Yeah.
It lasted 6 hours.
6 hours.
Before somebody set it on fire.
Those people that put it together like,
This one, 1979, prior to assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't there some like flame retardant you could put on?
I mean,
I think maybe they have, and they actually they've started building like a second one at like
a second one, yeah,
at like
after
a children's
8 days,
museum or science museum or something.
And again on December 20th. So this one they burned both of them.
Yeah, I think this year the second one has been burned, but the big one, the main one, is still.
I think this year we should toast to the Yule goat makers because they've got the worst job.
2019 currently standing, double fenced. 24-hour CCTV. 2 guards patrol around the goat frequently, 24 hours a day, along with the K9 unit.
Yeah, so I follow the Yevla goat on Twitter and Instagram. So I'm trying to keep up with,
that's neat.
So 2016 was the last year it was burned.
Yeah,
destroyed by an arsonist equipped with petrol on its inauguration day. Petrol is just gas.
Oh right, I was with you on that.
Yeah,
just hours after its 50th birthday party. Organizers said they would not rebuild the goat this year. The 21-year-old was sentenced to probation. Oh, all right. He got fined roughly 100,000 SEK, whatever the currency is. The evidence mainly revolved around a hat that the perpetrator dropped during his escape, and the DNA matched it with a 21-year-old local. But it was replaced by the smaller Natural Science Club goat built by local high school students.
Aww.
Yeah.
This goat was later hit by a car.
Yeah.
Let me guess it was somebody nice.
I have no idea, but that's, wow. All right, well, I think that's the place to end the podcast there.
All
so
right.
the Evely Goat, you're one of your favorite things, one of your favorite traditions.
Yeah, I do like that one a lot. Yeah.
All right.
Good one.
Well, but if people want to learn more about this, what's the best way to discover that?
Well, you can always find me on Twitter or Tumblr. Find me on Twitter, Benito_Cereno. Okay. You can ask me anything. I've probably written about it at some point. So we kind of really just scratched the surface.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you could go for hours on this.
I could definitely do hours. So if you want to know about a specific place or a specific custom or anything, we didn't talk about the Mari Luid, the singing skeletal horse of Wales. If you want to know about that kind of stuff, hit me up on Twitter, Benito_Cereno, or Tumblr, Benito-Cereno.tumblr.com. You can find me there. And I write about all sorts of stuff all the time.
Also, your garbage Christmas playlist, always a favorite.
Yes,
around my house.
on YouTube, I have multiple garbage Christmas playlists of the absolute worst of the worst Christmas music I could find.
There's like the Pokemon Christmas, and it's kind of funny because you'll have the Pokemon Christmas song, and then you'll have just like Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, and then it'll be just like an Ernest Kathy Lee Gifford song.
Yeah,
it's just awful.
Honestly, it's not the Kathy Lee, it's the Regis. I think that really
true.
drives that one into garbage territory. Silver Bells by Regis and Kathy Lee. Yeah, so you can. Yeah, that's on YouTube. You can find those playlists there.
Well, everybody.
And my podcast, Apocalypse House.
Yeah. There we go.
Our Christmas episode just went up yesterday. It is about the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, one of our most requested books to cover. That just went up, and also our Hanukkah episode also went up recently, where we did the book of 3rd Maccabees. But we have covered 1st and 2nd Maccabees as well. If you want to learn about how the Jews triumphed over a horde of drunken elephants, please listen to our podcast.
There you go. Always interesting stuff to learn. Thanks. Well, there you go, everybody. I hope you learned something. I know Miranda learned something. She didn't even know who Krampus was before this, or Krampus, depending on what part of the world you're from. Andrea?
Big debate.
Big debate. All right, so let's get into it. The winner of this year's side draft, Kelsey Mattingly.
I love it. She's going to be so happy. And I was asking Victor, he was kind of filling me in on how the results were coming in, and he says that somebody may have campaigned a little bit to come out on top.
All I know is on Facebook I saw a lot of the votes, and they had Mattingly in the last name, or they were someone who I knew was related or connected to her.
Rockcastle County.
But we said that some people could do their own campaign if they wanted.
Hey, she worked for it. She got it.
Yeah, I was surprised at first because the results were kind of flip-flopped from what I was expecting. Kelsey at first was winning on Twitter, but Kristen was winning
on Facebook.
On Facebook, and I just based on how those audiences are, I thought that it might be a little bit different. But then eventually Kelsey caught up on Facebook, overtook her.
Pull ahead.
Just a reminder: Kristen Kennedy's menu, because everybody had turkey and ham.
Elevated.
Sweet potato casserole, roasted Brussels sprouts in a cast iron pan, yeast rolls, peppermint meringue cookies, 4-layer chocolate cake, and a dark beer.
She took us on a journey.
I was excited about that.
Culinary journey.
And then Kelsey's was just very classic. Mac and cheese, stuffing, green bean casserole, pecan pie, pumpkin pie, and some cider.
Keep it simple, stupid.
And that did it. There you go.
You know what I mean? That is a saying for a reason.
So there we go. Congratulations to Kelsey. You win the grand prize.
Of nothing. Bragging rights.
So, there we go. Miranda, do you have anything going on?
You just call me Miranda.
Miranda. Well, I just
Oh my
sorry. I
gosh.
just sat here with Miranda for a while,
That's
and now
true.
I
This is Andrea again, by the way.
Andrea, I was distracted because I was going to pull something else up that I did. I wanted to get your honest opinion. Do you know the comedian Kumail Nanjiani?
Yeah. Oh, hottie.
Did you see those pictures?
Yes, he's ripped all
It made
of a
me feel
sudden.
really bad about myself because I was like, because I just knew him as
give you hope.
Maybe that's what. Well, no, because he even says on those pictures like
Oh, yeah.
he's only able to do it because he's in a Marvel movie and they're paying for his trainers and his food and all that other
Right.
stuff.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, well, all right. I guess I need to.
Great. I was not ready.
I need to put down a donut. I was just like, oh, I need to put this down. And then it also made me feel weird because before even all that happened, I think Mandy kind of has a little crush on him beforehand. She was like, oh, I like him. I like his stuff. And so then I saw those pictures. I was like, oh, I got to make sure she didn't see this. This is going to be bad.
Hey, everybody gets a hall pass, right? Well, maybe not. I don't think
I
that's
was going to say, I don't think that's actually a thing.
Well, if she got one.
Well, I'll keep that in mind.
You think Camille would be her hall pass?
Oh, I don't know. The guy who was in Rogue One,
I don't know what that
really
is.
liked him. The Star Wars movie.
Well, have you seen the newest Star Wars?
I did.
Of course you did. What am I saying?
Well, I almost, we've got a kid. You never know. It took me a while to see the Avengers movies, the most recent one, but I did. No spoilers here. I will just say I enjoyed it, but I think I need to see it again. It's a very complicated movie, very complicated legacy.
Well, we talked about going this weekend, and I said I need to recap first because it's been a while since I've watched, so I want to make sure I know about all the moving parts and can at least have a decent knowledge going in if it is that complicated. So
there you go. That's probably for the best. And so then next week's episode, I'm looking forward to. You and I are going to go over the top 10 of 2019.
What if we have matching ones?
Well,
okay. What are the parameters? It could be anything.
Anything. So you and I, we are each going to pick 5 things that we loved from this year, and then we'll just go back and forth.
I've thought about this a little bit.
Our top 10 things.
Yeah, this is going to be tough.
I know you're going to be surprised by this. One of mine is a food item.
No.
But it's not probably not a food item you're thinking of. There's some movies in there. There's some just events, just life events.
Do you have 10 or
stories?
5?
I've got 5 written down so far.
Okay. Are we doing 5 and 5 or 10 and 10?
We're doing 5 and 5 because if we
cool.
did 10 and 10,
that'd take
be
forever.
a very long podcast.
All right.
Yeah. I'm glad you all get to listen to us figure that out. And I was going to put some slops in there too, things I didn't like during the year. But instead, I'm just going to give one of those right now. Burger King tacos gets a big thumbs down.
Oh,
I don't know if you all have tried one or saw one. I don't know if they even still had them.
I bet they don't.
But I decided to try one whenever they came out. And, ooh, boy.
Not great.
I think they were going for the Jack in the Box style tacos. If you're not from around here, Jack in the Box has tacos that they basically deep fry in the factory and then send to the restaurant. I think they deep fry them again for a few seconds, open them up, throw in some lettuce, and that's basically the taco.
Lovely.
Yeah, and so the pictures of them were not good. It was just, it was bad.
It was a disaster.
So that's my big thumbs down.
Okay.
For the year.
In the spirit of Festivus, which is the day we're recording
we are
this,
airing some grievances.
I'm going to air a grievance too,
Okay.
and mine is Twitter.
Yeah?
Yes, I still have not gotten my blue check mark, and I'm very offended. I have tried twice, and everybody else in the newsroom has no issues, but for some reason mine just will not get approved. So I'm just some nobody.
I can't believe they wouldn't give you a blue check mark.
I know. I'm like,
if anybody deserves one.
It's not me, but I think I do. But also, the fact that they still haven't let us edit our tweets is
pretty awful.
Very frustrating for me as well.
I still haven't been able to get.
Come on, Twitter.
Just regular at Victor Puente. So if you'll have to say hi to the Victor Puente if you want to reach out to me online.
I love it.
So yeah, that's what we've got going on. Do you have a favorite thing this year, or do you just want to save it all for?
Let's save it.
Or for favorite thing. I will say you and I both have Disney Plus now.
Yes, I got it through Verizon, thankfully.
That is, we just had to pay for it the old-fashioned way.
Well,
but
that means that I get all the Marvel movies. Victor has pointed out that was one of the first things he said.
One of the first things I watched.
No excuses.
There you go. No, I'm going to expect a full report.
Oh gosh.
One of the first things I watched was The Flight of the Navigator.
Oh.
A Disney movie from the 80s that I enjoyed about a young boy who travels forward in time, and then he's kind of stuck in time. And then watching it was a lot slower than I remembered, and not that much actually happens. But for some reason, I still enjoyed it, and I watched the whole thing.
Sometimes that happens.
It could just be pure nostalgia. But yeah, Flight of the Navigator. That's my favorite thing this week. If you have Disney Plus, go watch that.
All right, fine. I'll give you one, and it's that Togo is finally getting made.
Oh, I meant to talk to you about that.
Yes!
So, because one of the things I've been putting our older episodes up on as just its own feed for people who just want to find that. We're catching up. We'll eventually just sync up to where they're both at the same time. But as a result, I've been listening to our older episodes just to see how they sounded and stuff.
My Alaskan Adventure.
And so during your Alaskan Adventure, you talk about Togo, the wolf that did not get enough credit from Pogo or what? Malamute. What was the other dog's name?
Balto.
Balto. Oh, there we go.
Balto got all the glory, but Togo did most of the work.
There you
Not
go.
saying that Balto doesn't deserve glory, because he definitely does, but Togo did the lion's
told me at
share
the
of
time.
this mission.
So when I was zipping through Disney Plus, I see Togo, like the untold true story.
I know.
I thought, what? And so then I sent you a message, and I posted it on your Facebook. I was very excited for you. And
I am excited. This is long overdue. Justice for Togo.
during Christmas, I'm sure you will be sitting at home watching Togo.
Is it out?
Yeah, it's out. It's on Disney Plus.
Okay,
It's
it's
got
on.
Willem Dafoe in it.
Oh, and he's great. I was
Yeah.
like, dang, that's a get right
They got
there.
a name.
I love it. I'm so
So there we go.
excited.
Both of our likes this week.
Everyone watch Togo.
Togo, Disney Plus, Flight of the Navigator. Say hi to Andrea on Facebook and Twitter. Say hi to me. And you know what? If you see me out shopping, come up and say hi. I had a few people. I was at Kohl's the other day. Come up and said hi, and that was very nice.
You famous.
Well, no, I don't get it that often. That's why it was nice. I'm like,
my
oh.
gosh. Well, it was funny. Somebody actually said something to my mom the other day, because I guess she had a picture of me up on her computer or something, and they were just like, oh, is that the girl from the news? And they go, your Mama Lindsay? They're like, you're the most famous mom in all of Central Kentucky, because I talk about her so much on the morning show. So
That's funny.
you may not recognize her by name, but
there
the
you go.
Mama Lindsay, she's made a name for herself.
All right. Well, I'll have to start talking about Mama Bonnie too.
There you go. And we still
So-
need to have them on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that. We'll plan on that for Mother's Day next year. We'll try to make
love
that
it.
happen. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
There we go.